Hey folks, what's up? This is Adam here, aka Cena Guy. Welcome to the Movie Vault. It's Sunday, very warm for some reason, and if you can hear like a little bit of a muffled sound in the background, I've got the fan on. For some reason it's really warm today, despite it being mild outside, whatever. Got time to do a movie review right now, and I'm going to look forward to reviewing this movie. This is a movie I've seen countless times. I mean, it came out in the year of 1998, but like I say, I've seen this on TV quite a few times. I used to own it on DVD. I need to re-get it again, like on Blu-ray or something like that, if there's one available. But this film was shown to me quite a few times at school as well. It was shown to me in primary school, and when I went to high school, when we was learning about history, World War II. And it's Goodnight Mr Tom, a film which, like I already mentioned, came in the year of 1998. Stars John Thor. John Thor, as you all know, was Inspector Morse, and he plays Tom Oakley, an old man living in the countryside in this film. Okay. Now, I will say this film is pleasant. It's a pleasant film to watch. It's a TV movie, and it takes place around World War II. World War II. With the war with Germany, and the film goes in different directions throughout the film, like the bonding between Mr. Tom and William. There's some dark scenes where William is with his mother in London and she's been really abusive because she's like this fucked up, deranged woman who needs psychiatric help because there's some scenes with abuse in this film. So there's a scene where William settles down in the countryside. There's scenes where he goes back. The scenes where he comes back but gets affected by different things that have happened during this World War II, many different things. I mean, John Thor plays this guy by the name of Tom Oakley, who's an old man. He's lost his wife and child. He appears to be very grumpy, very bad-tempered, but deep down he's got a heart of gold. He's just been affected by the loss of his wife and son, who died years ago. But the film opens up with them all being in church, and they're being informed that the country is at war with Germany. During this time in World War II, kids from London and in the cities were evacuated to the countryside for their own safety. And one of those kids is William Beach. He goes to the countryside. He ends up being landed at Mr. Tom's house, along with some other kids who are going to different houses in the village. At first, Tom doesn't want anything to do with the kid because he's very bitter towards him. He doesn't like the fact that his privacy has been invaded. I mean, like I say, deep down he's got a heart of gold, but he appears to be very bitter, very bad-tempered, but he ends up with no choice having William as part of his household, and he's got to accept the fact that he's living there for his own safety, after being evacuated from London. Okay. The boy, William Beach, at first appears to be very quiet. We don't know much about him because he doesn't speak as much. But he shows a lot of signs of fear, like at the table when he's eating, he stands up from the chair after when Tom takes the food into the kitchen. There's a scene where he gets frightened over Sam, which is Mr. Tom's dog. Tries to hit him with a shovel, saying, get away, I'll kill you." And we later on learn that he's come from an abusive background because there's a scene where he wets the bed, and then when he takes off his pyjamas, he's got all these scars all down his back after being lashed. And Mr. Tom learns that's from a belt because when he unpacks William's belongings, there's a letter from his mother saying he has promised to be good, but just in case I've put the belt in. So it comes from like an abusive background. I mean, for the first half of the movie, it's about Tom and William bonding. That's what it is, trying to understand each other, trying to make a connection. There's a scene where William attends school, but he can't read or write, so he's been put in the babies class. And then it shows a scene where Mr. Tom is basically teaching William how to read and write, joining up the dots to write his name, and that's another bonding scene. It's all about bonding between Tom and William. And he soon gets the crack of it. William, he starts to handwrite good, he starts to read good, and he also develops a passion for art. He does a lot of drawings and paintings. that is one of the birthday presents he got from Tom, when they celebrate his birthday at the house. And he also forms friends with all the other kids in the village, particularly in Zach, another kid who's been evacuated to the countryside, and he's Jewish. And they form like a bondship as well, Zach and William, a nice friendly friendship. And they think highly of each other, just like best friends do. Now, the reason why I like this film, because like I say, it's a feel-good film. I mean, with it taking place in World War II, my dad loves these sort of movies. My dad really loves these sort of movies. He loves documentaries based on the war or anything to do with history. He's always watching documentaries on the TV about World War II and Spitfires and things like that. And the reason why I like this movie is because I was always interested in learning history at school. I wouldn't say it was one of my top subjects, but at the same time I enjoyed learning about it, like Henry VIII and all that. But World War II was one particular subject I was interested in. And I remember at primary school, when I watched this for the first time, I really got into the movie, I really liked it. And then we were shown this movie again when I went to high school and was learning more about World War II again in high school. And we watched the movie again. And we was given like a project in class, like, well, two different ones. At the primary school, we were says one of the class projects was write an essay pretending that you're a child being evacuated into the countryside from London, and you're writing a letter back to your parents explaining your new life in the countryside. That was one assignment. The second assignment was like pretend you're a friend of William Beach and like write, basically a story about your good times together and how you coped during World War II in the country, and it was stuff like that. So, and plus not only that, they show this movie on TV all the time, and like I say, it's a very pleasant movie. I mean, there's some sad scenes. I mean, there's some uplighting scenes, like I say, with William enjoying his birthday, with all the rest of the kids in the class. Just when things are going well for him, like learning how to read and write good, he gets a letter from his mother saying that his mum's sick, and he has to go back to London. And he does go back to London, but turns out she's fine, but not mentally, because she's very abusive towards him. William learns that his mum's had a baby while he's been away. And, there's a scene where she hits him across the face. The mother's showing signs of trauma and some mental issues, especially about God. Like I say, she's very deranged in this movie. She ends up drowning herself, but that was off screen. Mr Tom finds the belt in the backyard, and after not hearing from William for over a month, he knows something's wrong, so he goes to London. And after a bombing, after when he slept down in the shelter, he finds William tied up in the basement of his home, holding the baby. The baby's died, so William gets treatment at the hospital. But now Tom is now convinced that it's his responsibility to look after William from now on, as he feels he has no other friends or relatives around him who will take him in. There's this guy who wants to put him in an orphanage, a children's home. But Tom basically takes William out of the hospital and takes him back to the country. And it's only a matter of time before they track him down and try and take him away from Tom. But Tom convinces them all that he'd have a better life living with him, more about love and, being looked after properly. So, but William's been affected by all the traumatic events, like the way his mother treated him, and his life comes crashing down when he finds out his best friend Zach had died, during the bombing. So he's very traumatized and upset, about what happened to his best friend. So the events of the war has really affected William in these sort of ways. He's lost family and friends through the war, So the scenes in this movie where at some point you see him laughing and joking, the scenes where you see him very upset, very traumatized. So, and I thought the kid who played William did a great job acting wise. Same with John Thor and all the other actors in this film. The acting was really good. Again, I found this movie really intriguing when I was learning more about World War II in history, because it was the one film they always showed us, and I remember when I went to secondary school and everyone says we're going to watch Goodnight Mr Tom, and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this movie back at primary school, now we're going to watch it again. But put it this way, I'd rather watch Goodnight Mr Tom than do a lot of essay work. So, and that's what we did. So we'd like watch Goodnight Mr Tom during class, then go for lunch, and then when lunch was over, go back and watch the last half of Goodnight Mr Tom. So those were great days. Okay. So overall, this movie, a very pleasant movie. Like I say, it's a British film, British TV film. I highly recommend it to different members of the family, you know, because it's one of those enjoyable family films. Again, it's one of those films that I recommend if you're really into history and World War II. You know, things like that, Spitfires and Anderson shelters and evacuation for all the kids. You know, if you're into like that sort of thing, then this movie would suit you really, you know, down to the T. Again, I still show this movie on TV, and which is a good thing because it's one of those movies, in my opinion, that never gets old. I mean, I will state some things right now. I already mentioned it came out in the year 1998, 25th of October of 1998 it came out. And it came out on the US on the 30th of May of 1999. Production company was Colton Television, that's right. This film is also based on a book. There is a book of this film, but I've never read the book. I'm not much of a reader. Directed by Jack Gold. Nick Robinson played William Beach. And again, we've got some other cast members. All cast members did a great job in this movie, in my opinion, having a good time playing their little roles in this movie. Everyone from Tom to William Beach, all the way down to, you know, the doctor, the teacher, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, I've got no complaints about this film. Again, if it's one of those films that you got used to growing up, it's really hard to find some sort of complaint. You know, I don't think there's any parts in this film that they could have improved on, and I don't think there's anything about the film that I found boring or found dragged. If I had to pick which was the best part of this film, I'd probably have to say the first half. But with that being said, I really did enjoy the second half. It was nice to see William happy again. You know, when he's riding Zach's bike down the road. He calls Tom Dad for the first time, and just before the credits roll, you know, Tom is like hugging William, you know, forming like some sort of father and son bondship, you know. So overall, really good film. Like I said, I've got to get the film again. I used to have it on DVD, but I don't know where it's gone. But I want to update several DVDs by turning them into Blu-ray, and if this film is available on Blu-ray, I will be willing to get it. It's a nice film to look back on, you know. You know when you get one of those films where you're like, this is like a childhood memory film, you know, and you want to look back at some of those childhood memory films. Goodnight Mr Tom was definitely a childhood memory film for me. So I'd like to own it just for that particular reason, not just because it's a good film, but it just brings back a lot of memories, you know, doing all those drawings and projects back at school, drawings of Anderson shelters and World War II scenes and all that kind of stuff. So I like to own it for that particular reason, you know. But that's my review, everybody. What do you think about the film? How do you feel about it? Please leave all your thoughts and comments below. And again, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already. So, yeah, please like, rate, and comment. Have a nice day, everyone. Peace out.